Okay, great. We are recording. This is Robert of the 12 Pound Podcast. I am here with my mom, Bobbie. Hey, Mom.
Hi, Rob.
As a quick reminder, this podcast discusses life's changes and how we hope to help you face them through shared stories and experience. So, Mom, we're on location again.
We're not in the south of France, just in case anybody's interested. We're
not.
close. We're getting there.
But
Actually, no, we're moving north.
But we are close to a exotic animal facility, a zoo.
This is true.
We're not
a free
far from-
zoo.
A free
I'll give them
zoo.
a little plug. It's a wonderful zoo.
It is. The Cape May County Zoo.
It's
We're
a
right down the
wonderful
street.
zoo. Yes, free. FRE, just for a donation.
And we are welcoming another guest to our show today, Emily Paul, President and CEO of the Cape May County Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This is actually kind of bizarre because I've listened to every episode. So I'm listening to it now through the headphones, and it's like listening to every other episode. So it's kind of bizarre that it's happening live in front of me right now.
You're here.
Very cool. I'm here.
You're here.
Yeah.
We're glad that you're a listener.
Yeah,
And
I love the podcast. It's very relaxing and it's informational and it's wonderful. I really do enjoy it.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, I found out yesterday that actually it puts my toddler to sleep. So I will play for the podcast when I am pushing her in the stroller. So it is relaxing, but unfortunately for children, it's a little too relaxing. So we'll have to put a warning.
There's an age. Yeah, there'll be an age thing, like a height requirement or
Age requirement.
an age requirement.
8
to
and
listen to
older.
our- Yeah.
8 and younger, you'll fall asleep.
Right.
But we're so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. This is really, really great.
And
Thank you so much for coming to the chamber.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in the chamber right now. So maybe just for the purposes of our audience who may be not as familiar with the Chamber of Commerce, the mission of the chamber is to be the advocate for the Cape May County business community through the strength of legislative engagement, member services, and education programs. Emily and the chamber represent more than 800 members. Is that right? 800?
That is true.
Wow, that is a lot of small businesses.
I know, and there's more too in Cape May County. So we're always recruiting new businesses, talking to new members. In fact, this morning we just had new members here, talking about what they're doing with their businesses. 2 of them were small business owners. So that's one of the great things about this job is getting to meet people, hear about what they're doing, what their dreams are, how we can help them. I always tell people your success is our success, and I really mean that. I really want to see everybody be successful. I want your podcast to be successful. I want, everybody to just live and have a great life in Cape May County. It's a great place to live and to work and to visit as well.
We agree. It's been wonderful. So the podcast has been wonderful. It's been nice for me. I've come back to Cape May County after many years. I know you've come back to Cape May County as well after many years.
It's true. Well, I came back to Cape May County in 2009. I moved back. Prior to that, I went to high school here, graduated, went to college in Philadelphia, and ended up staying there for quite a while. In fact, I lived in Fairmount
good.
for quite a bit.
Did you go to the chiropractor?
I did not go to a chiropractor at that point in time. I didn't have any children at that point. I was a lot less stressed out, so I didn't really need a chiropractor then. Now, maybe a different story. But yeah, lived in Philly, loved it, and then moved back to town and have been here ever since.
That's great.
As far as it's funny, we did an episode. You probably heard since you listened to them all.
I did hear it.
Was coming home, and you're an example of coming home. That you were away, and I don't know if I'm imagining this or we had spoken before, but there was something to do with a prom date.
Yes, my husband was my prom date, but I always have to be very clear to people that it's not. We're not like the high school sweethearts who have stayed together since high school. I don't know why I always have to make
that clear.
Make that very clear. I just feel like that's a different thing. Like if you meet someone in high school and you stay with them from high school through your life, it's a beautiful thing, but it's just not our thing.
So the prom date was good.
He was a great prom date. It was eventful in the sense that our bus driver almost had a heart attack. So. So I learned then that my husband does not react well in those situations. He was very, the guy was like pulled over and I'm thinking, we're teenagers, so, what are you going to do? But my husband I was like, you should say something to him. And he's like, you okay, buddy? And that was that was it.
No CPR.
No CPR. But yeah, he was great. We were great friends for all that time in between. And, after you get older and sometimes you realize the person for you is, that person you met a while ago.
At the prom.
At the prom, yeah.
It's a great story, really.
Yeah, it is great.
Yeah.
I'm glad it happened.
Yeah. Is that what brought you somewhat back to this area?
Yes, that's 100% what brought
100%.
me back to the area. Yeah, okay. I was, living my life in Philadelphia. I really did not picture myself moving back. And it's funny, I've spoken to other people, similar situation, graduated, and then ended up coming back down here. And I think that it's just not, I don't know what it is. I part of the reason why I'm happy to have this position that I do is because I'd like more people some of the young people that graduate from school down here to feel like they can build their life here, and I think that there is this push that happens where, you go to high school here, you graduate, and then you get out. And, to come back is kind of frowned upon in a weird way, or it feels, I think to some people it feels a little bit like a failure or something like that, but it really shouldn't be. There's a lot of great opportunity down here. And, as someone who has lived in other places, there's a lot that this area has to offer as far as building a life and raising a family. I'm raising my family here, and I'm really happy that I decided to. Yeah. It's kind of it's a special place, Cape May County.
It is special.
It
and
is.
It's a great place to start a business.
It is a great place to start a business. Mm-hmm. There's a huge industry in Cape May County in terms of tourism. So we get tons of people who come down here every year. So certainly there's a lot of businesses geared towards that. But, building in those year-round businesses is really something as well. We have a lot of breweries in the area. We have a lot of wineries. We do have people who live here who can make a living all year long. I definitely would encourage people to start their businesses down here or come to work for one of these great businesses down here.
How do you think you change that sentiment? If you are in high school and there's a student who's gone on to college, is thinking about coming back, but has that feeling, do you think it's showcasing these businesses earlier on to students, or what are ways that you've thought about maybe?
I think what you just said, highlighting that there are these opportunities down here. I know for myself, growing up, and other people that I've known in the same position, we had no idea what was possible. It was kind of like, well, you can go to school, you be a teacher, you could go into the medical field, or it was very limited in terms of what the possibilities were. So I think just speaking to young people about the possibilities, I know right now, even between college and trades, there's so much that people can be doing. Right across the parkway over at the tech school, they have so many amazing programs. The community college has amazing programs. There's a lot that you can do here, and you can put those skills to work right here. And even if to live here, work in the surrounding counties, right up in Atlantic County at the airport, they're doing amazing things there. They're doing amazing things at our airport. We have cellular tracking technologies, which is this amazing business. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of them. They're chamber members. They're kind of awesome. They do amazing things. They're tech jobs that they're building this whole tech village. So it's very cool. There's a lot of things once you start digging a little bit deeper, but I don't think that young people necessarily know what all of those things are.
So you've had a thread in your career, which is marketing communications, as I understand. That's where you're...
Sure. Yeah.
I love that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure.
No. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I did. The funny thing about that, and the funny thing about talking about, not knowing what the possibilities were. When I went to school, I was an athlete. And everyone would say to me, okay, you're an athlete. Why don't you get into physical therapy, athletic training? Because that was a thing. And I was like, okay, I'll do that because I'm an athlete. But then I realized, I hate science and I hate all my science classes, and this is going to be nothing but science classes, but I like writing. So I had an experience in high school where I was going to go to Stockton to be a physical therapist, decided in my senior year after I'd already been accepted, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do creative writing. Went to a guidance counselor and said, because I told my parents, and I thought my parents were going to freak out, but they didn't. And they were like, okay, go talk to your guidance counselor, find out what you can do with writing. So I went to the guidance counselor and they were like, you can be a teacher. And I was like, but I don't want to be a teacher. What else can I do? And they really didn't have much in that, for what you could do. But I ended up going to school at Stockton for creative writing, transferring over to UArts for writing for media communications, which was television and film writing, and then worked in that industry very briefly, realized I was not cut out for the film industry. It's a very cool industry. It's just you have to be a specific type of person, I think, to do it, and that just wasn't me. And I really wanted to work in nonprofits. I had an experience in college working for the Clean Air Council, loved it, wanted to get back into that field. And then somehow found myself in marketing and communications and then in grant writing, and realized that you can be a writer and you can use that skill, but you can use that skill in all these different jobs that exist out there that had never been made clear, to me as a young person. So again, just going back to that idea of, hey, you like to write? Well, let me tell you 20 different things that you can do with writing out there. Those are the kind of things that I wish I could tell young people today.
So how does, when you think about productivity, do you set out a plan in advance, or is it something that just comes through the day? So it's because it's interesting. We've heard about people's plans a lot, and it tends to be something I'm interested in, how people manage their day, how they can be productive, or how they can equally avoid things pretty successfully. So how does your day structure out?
My day structure. It's funny. I was listening to your other podcast, and you talked about the person you were speaking with was saying how she wakes up at 5:06 a.m.
I was just there a little bit
And
ago.
I am a 4 a.m. person.
On the dot?
Actually 4:06, and I am not even lying. I will show you my
Wow,
phone where I have the
4:06,
alarm
two
for
athletes
4:06.
on the 06s.
On the 6,
Yeah, I have a 4. I do have a 4 a.m. alarm, but I require a second alarm.
At 4:06.
So 4 a.m. goes off, and that's the Alexa telling me to wake up. And then the 4:06 alarm is on my phone. That's when I really get up, is at 4:06.
Wow, what time's bedtime?
Bedtime is, I have to be in bed by 8 o'clock, usually fall asleep before 9. If I see double digits, I start to get anxiety.
Yeah, that's interesting. So good, you get your sleep, you can get up in the morning, you do your run first thing in the morning?
First thing in the morning, I either run or I do some sort of yoga, bar exercise, but something like that to get the day going. Then, usually I start working. I always have to have a list. Big list person. And that's, key to productivity is planning ahead and planning what you want to do in advance. So if I don't have a list, I can wander aimlessly. I can start that's when I start just scrolling things on my phone. I'll get into the TikTok videos and things will go awry. But if I have a list and I know that I can go to my list and just start picking things off it, then I can start moving forward. If I have a plan going into the day, like cleaning the house, couple emails that I need to respond to. But if I don't have that, then
That's funny. I was
things go awry
just
fast.
speaking with my younger son. Well, as a child, I don't know. As an adult, he's up in Maine, but he never had a list.
No, he was listless.
He was listless. And
Oh my gosh, did that word come from that?
I don't know. I could,
May have.
probably.
I've
right?
never put two
Listless.
and two together on
Right.
that.
Look it up.
Listless.
We don't have a producer on site.
Right.
I do
We'll
have a
to-
computer.
Well, we could have pretended. Like, we'll ask our producer. But anyway, and he was just talking about that because he's not a list kind of guy. It's but over the years, that have changed. But he has 2 little kids, and he was saying that his wife just started to. They thought maybe it would help making lists, and they've made like a schedule, to do this at this time, and he said it really seems to be working. And he said it's given them more time.
Absolutely. Well, I have my to-do list tattoo because you have to have one with you at all times.
A tattoo or a to-do list?
A to-do, well, both. But yeah, a to-do list. Like I said, if I don't have, but the last thing on my list at the end of the day is plan the day for tomorrow, and at least get a couple of things on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just looking at your tattoo, and I instantly went to high school where it wasn't to do; it was sort of cheat sheet. There were a few
answers.
The answers.
That's how mom got through high school.
It's like, really,
We are very honest on podcasts.
very
We
honest,
are.
very
Yeah.
honest, very honest. It was rare.
Yeah, lists were what got me through COVID. So
Yeah.
I was, as a single dad, I was alone a lot. So I found that if I didn't have that list every day, I would do exactly the same. So it would happen the night before, write it out. I would start through it, check it off through the day. It also feels very fulfilling as you kind of go through it and you get through those.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
line by
people
Holding
line.
yourself accountable is actually
Yeah.
what you're doing,
Yeah.
rather than in coaching. I can hold you accountable, but you have to pay. You have to pay for that. So if you get really good at making lists and holding yourself accountable, this is what I do at what time? What time?
4 a.m.
Yeah, that's what I do. My son is signaling me to stop tapping on the
And
table.
I found it's a family thing. Her brother did the same thing. They're just very bang the table type of people.
I like it.
Yeah. As the producer and the editor of this podcast.
See,
It
one of
is
these
not-
days, one of these days when we will be videoed, you will see the look that I get from my son. You know, when he sees the hand going one way,
Yeah.
and you'll also see the look that I give him back.
Yeah. Working with my mom was not on my to-do list,
No.
but it did end up being there in the end.
You know, I think about that, and I look at that and I think, wow, I have two sons myself, and it would be great to work with one of them. I don't know if they will. I mean, they're very young right now. I can't even imagine it. At this point in time, if you ask them, it'd probably be like, yeah, I would love to, because they actually like hanging out with me. But I know that's going to change very soon. So how wonderful for you, though.
Because it is a small community, it's a close-knit community, you kind of feel like you know everybody.
Sure.
But 800 businesses is a lot of businesses.
There's no way to know everybody and know everything that's going on. But I think that most of the people who are members here are very invested in this community and interested in what's going on. So, you know, we have monthly membership meetings, and at those meetings, it's not just the networking, but we also have speakers come in. And I think that we really try and select speakers who have something interesting to talk about in terms of new things that are happening, new legislation, you know, things that are going to affect our members. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's a lot of the reason why people sign up, you know, in addition to the networking.
A big part of the enjoyment for you is helping people, is getting business going, and I just wanted to throw in there to give myself a little plug. That's terrible.
You're not part of the chamber yet, Mom.
What is that? Who said something about it? Something wasn't
So
it?
we'll recruit you very quickly.
Okay.
You know, downstairs,
Okay.
before you get out.
Yeah,
you know,
before we go,
What
we'll
is
say
that?
that.
I wouldn't want to
For
be part of a group that I'm a member of. Who said that?
Groucho Marx.
Groucho Marx? Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't want to be part of a club that would accept me as a member.
Yeah, sure. I always thought that was kind of...
That is not true at the chamber.
I know,
we have
I know.
a lot of. We would
I
accept
know.
you, and it's
where my
fantastic.
brain goes sometimes, where I go. But I've been doing, you know, as far as the coaching, I've been doing some things on energy levels. And a lot of times I'm always hearing, you know, when someone's speaking. And my next thing is going to be on level 4, which you have a lot of. Anybody that wants to help people he's also a lot of level 4. So I just wanted you to know, when you were listening to Emily talking about that, you may be interested in tuning in to a little tune-up coaching, because that's what I'm going to touch on, is level 4 energy. And
I need to learn more about this, because so level 4, is that good? That's
level
good
4 is good.
Good
it
energy.
can have it can also a little.
You can
be
give
a little
you might be able to
problematic.
give too much.
Give too much.
Oh, okay.
Wear yourself out. There's, you know, a balance to everything. Everything in moderation.
Sure.
Which you know, anything, you know, in moderation. But level 4 is definitely a giver, a helper.
Cool.
So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there, and that's
nice to hear.
what you do, and that's wonderful. And people out there listening with the Chamber of Commerce, I mean, it sounds like, you know, if you're thinking of opening a business here, or you need more information, you know, on how it goes, you know, it must be overwhelming.
You know, and I really do think that is what I love about this job. I do love helping people, you know, and I think everyone who works here loves that aspect of it, you know, working with people and making sure that, you know, their dreams come true.
Yeah. Are you also involved in events?
We do. We have a lot of events. In fact, our director of events downstairs, we have a number of events. We have some coming up. In addition to the chamber, we also have it's the Education Foundation, which is a separate 501c3. You know, talked about nonprofits. So we both are nonprofit, just different ones. I won't get technical, but anyway.
We can get technical. We can always edit it out.
Yeah, we could just.
You're like, I was a little sleepy. The technical stuff.
And I'm like 501c6, 501c3.
Level
you know,
4.
It's all very,
Level 4
very
was
interesting.
fun. We'll edit here out. We'll pick up later.
Oh man.
No, but please, we are interested, because
No,
it's I think a lot of this for any listener is going to be new. Most people have heard of a Chamber of Commerce, or generally what they do, but there are a lot of levels to it, which I was even surprised to learn just researching for this interview. So
There's a lot of things you can do with the chamber.
Absolutely. And just to say, you know, I don't know, I'm just sort of visualizing somebody would say what they don't need. You know what I mean? I don't think you know what you don't need till you give something a try, get in there and see what it's all about. I mean, if you're a business in or thinking about being a business in Cape May County, I was a member of a chamber actually in Camden County. And it's extremely helpful. The networking is, finding out just to get ideas. You never know what somebody's going to suggest. Or who you're going to meet,
right? And you talk
like
about
a prom date.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, you talk about energy, and
could
As
be
a
the
father-
one. Could
as a
be a
father,
dating
I know.
service.
As a father of 2
Well,
daughters,
I
that's
will
very
tell you.
terrifying.
I will tell you that and I'm tapping on the table. I'm so sorry.
You are in serious trouble, Emily.
It's okay.
Did you see
Don't
that?
be mad. Don't
See, he
be
didn't
mad.
yell at you. He didn't give you a hard time.
She's our guest.
Yeah. Okay.
Be our guest.
Yell later.
Beauty and the Beast. I've got 2 daughters, so
It's all about the Disney.
He's gonna break into
the fact that
song.
they might marry their prom date is terrifying. And
Sure. He's shaped up okay. He's
Anyway,
shaped up okay.
was there a romance story from the chamber? Is that?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that, I go to these events that we have, and there are young people there, because there's a lot of young people who work down here. There's not just business owners, but people who work for a lot of the organizations, and they come to our events. And, I was commenting to someone recently that, if I were young and single down here, going to a chamber event is not a bad place to meet people, because you figure they all have jobs.
They're working.
They're working. Yeah. And I know of one couple who met through the chamber who is getting married.
Wow.
So
Okay.
I'm not saying that's the reason you should join the chamber, but I'm just saying
Just
it doesn't
another-
hurt.
I'm just
It
thinking about title,
doesn't hurt.
The Chamber of Love.
Well, I was going to say, you talk about energy, and I felt the first membership meeting that I went to for the Cape May County Chamber was the first one after I came into this position. And my feeling that I had after that first meeting was, wow, what great energy. Because it's all people who are coming in. They want to have a good experience. They're there because they want to be there. No one's forcing anyone to come to a chamber event. And by the end of it, it's just, you've had all these conversations with people. You've learned about what all these different people are doing. You've made those connections with people. And I walked away from it with such great energy, and it's been the same for every single one that I've gone to since.
We're all
Right.
here because we want to be here, and I think things are usually more positive when it's I have a keychain that says "Don't tell me what to do."
You have a general disposition.
I have to tell you, I am like the exact same way. If you tell me to do something, I will be like, I will not do that thing. I will go in the exact other
Opposite
I will go in the other
Well,
direction.
it wasn't on your list.
It wasn't on my list. If it's not on my
It's
list,
not on your
Not
list.
in your bio.
yes, if it's not in my bio, it's not going to happen. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, the people are wonderful. So if anyone listening to this is interested in becoming a member of the chamber, I highly recommend it, not just as a person who works here.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty newbie person here, so
Yeah.
I'm saying it wholeheartedly. It's a great investment to have that membership, to really utilize it. We had a new member meet and greet this morning here at the chamber, and I was telling the people who attended, you really get out of it what you put into it. And if you put yourself into it, you get to meet a lot of great people. Opportunities are going to open up for you. In the short time that I've been here, I've seen it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the saying? Half of getting ahead in life is just showing up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just showing up.
Well, one of your members is Maury's Piers.
It's true. They're a great member.
They're a great member, and they're also a great sponsor. Maury's Piers, located on the Boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey, is a classic seaside amusement park. I know you've taken the kids there many times, Emily. Come on.
I'm just laughing because, again, I'm an avid listener to this podcast. I've heard you do this
And you
read.
know when he's
and I
coming
also have
in.
to say, I'm a real big fan of your transitions
Thank you.
into it. You have some great ones. If anyone is listening to this podcast for the first time, I suggest you go back to all the other episodes and you listen to Rob's transitions into the read.
And for potential sponsors, we would also suggest, because I can transition into your business very, very smoothly.
Absolutely. Yes, I will do an ad for you. As I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I'd say you're one of the best in the biz.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. What's your favorite ride on the Boardwalk?
Oh my goodness. Favorite ride. I was always a big fan of the Music Express.
Oh, I know the music that goes
I
around.
know the
because
Music
it was great
Express.
music.
What is
There's
the-
great music.
Great music.
Right.
Goes around. It's kind of tilted.
Right. You get sucked into the middle of it, but my memories of that are from the 80s. So like listening to 80s music, blasting on that while going around, that was always my favorite.
That was a great ride.
I don't know the Music Express. Is it called something else?
I don't know what they called it in the
Not
20s.
the Himalayan. Oh, God.
It just goes in a, it's really not
Help me,
exciting.
someone.
It just goes
Somebody
in a circle,
help
but
me.
it kind of goes like up and down in a circle.
Okay, I don't know.
Do you have a favorite boardwalk memory?
Favorite boardwalk memory? Oh my gosh. Well, you know, my grandfather actually used to work for the city of Wildwood. So growing up, he would always have tickets. So we would always, you know, when my grandmother babysat us, she lived in North Wildwood. So we would walk up to the piers. And so I have so many fantastic memories, but, you know, today is actually the first day of school for my children. And growing up on the first day of school, all the children of the people who worked for the city could go on the rides for free. So all myself and my brother and sister and my cousins, we would all march up to the boardwalk with my grandfather. He would get us all the bracelets, you know, the bracelets where you can go on any ride. I don't know if they still do that up there, but you just like show them your bracelet.
As many times as you want.
We felt very cool. And we would go with, you know, all my aunts and uncles. And, you know, that was like the first day of school tradition.
Yeah, it was funny when we were giving away boardwalk passes as part of our On the Board series. That's how I kept referring it as you'll go get a couple bracelets and then you can take, but they don't do bracelets anymore.
They don't do the
No,
bracelets?
it's very
The
sophisticated
barcode.
now. They do the barcode
Okay.
cards, which are great. I'm sure it's much easier for
Oh,
business.
you know what? Actually, last summer, my youngest son, his birthday was just last week on August 30th. So not this year, but last year, we had like a little boardwalk expedition, and it was really the first time that my kids had been to the boardwalk and got to go on the rides and everything else. And my two eldest wanted to go on the big Ferris wheel, but I, as an adult, I can't even look at it. It gives me such anxiety, but they loved it. They went on there with their dad and had such a fantastic time. So it's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
How about you, Mom? Favorite boardwalk experience?
Oh, so many. Jeez, I'm like I was a boardwalk junkie as a kid. My sister and I think looking back, my sister and I would go up on the boardwalk probably 11, 12 years old when you could go by yourself. We could, you know, you were kind of, it was a little freer back then, you know, as far as being allowed to go places by yourself.
Free range kids.
Free range, yeah. And we used to play the games. We were just game junkies, and so is my granddaughter. It's a little scary. Yeah, we would just play the games. There was a game called Fascination. And thinking about it right now, I'm getting like anxious. Like, can I win? Can I win? Can I win? Fascination, and you would just, I like the games, you know. You would acquire all these tickets to get nothing. Which just,
But it was so much fun.
but it
Like
was
the
so
fun,
much fun.
like the Ed's Funcade up on the boardwalk.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
games, the
Oh,
skee-ball, the
It's
whole
so
thing.
great. But you know, it just bridge back to earlier in the conversation talking about growing up down here and it being such a great place to really, you know, have a family. Having that boardwalk there, I mean, people come from all around to go to that boardwalk, and you know, we live here.
No, they
So,
do. They
yeah,
do.
and it, you know, I always tell my kids, because where we live, there's, you know, in the summertime there's traffic all the time, and sometimes my kids will be like, "Oh my gosh, we can't even go to the store." You know, we're kind of trapped in our home because of the traffic. And I always say it's because you live in this special place that people from all over the world want to come to the place where you get to live every day of your life. So how
Absolutely.
wonderful is that?
Absolutely. And one of the things I've always loved and still do about the Wildwoods is that the beaches are still free. I just think that's awesome. And I think Atlantic City as well are the only beaches that are free in all of New Jersey. And that's really cool because people can come down. I remember people didn't like the tourist industry, were get them out of here. And I thought, boy, you know, don't be like that. They are supporting every business you can imagine, from the time they cross the bridge to getting gas to, you know, somehow it all trickles down, you know, to everyone. So, yeah, I love to see them.
I believe it's about 80% of the businesses down here are in some way connected to tourism.
Yeah.
So whether they're tourism direct or just connected in some way.
Yeah, that's interesting. I could see putting this earlier in the conversation, but since 80% of the businesses are tied to tourism, and tourism is tied to the summer, which is only 10 weeks, how do you convince businesses that this is actually a year-round community?
Well, they have done some great things in terms of expanding the season.
Events.
So we're heading into the fall. There's a lot of great things that happen in the fall. And I would say that for some people, that's their time of year to come down here and visit. It all depends why you're coming down. There's a lot of birders that come down here. If you love birds, there's...
Guilty.
Yeah. I know. They're great.
They are.
I have to tell you more about cellular tracking technologies because they have this really cool thing that they just... I think you can buy the prototypes now or actually pre-order them. But it's this really cool thing. I ordered one for the chamber and I'm really excited about it. And you can put it in your backyard or wherever and it will listen to the birds. And then it will tell you like who came to visit.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? I mean, for me, I think that's really cool.
I don't know.
that
I
work?
also
Does
listen
that
in my
work?
conversations in my
Well,
living room.
Does that work in Philadelphia? Like what bird?
Pigeon.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, in Philadelphia, it might help. You could listen to the person taking your package off your front porch.
Well, here at the chamber, we actually have the Eco Walk, which I don't know if you guys saw.
I just saw
when you came
that.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about the Eco Walk.
I love the Eco Walk. The Eco Walk is celebrating its 20th anniversary. A month from now is the exact day that it opened. Senator Kafiro helped to fund it, and it's not very long. So if you're expecting a long walk, then walk a lot before you get to the Eco Walk. But it's this lovely little walk that really highlights all of the natural foliage that's around. That it's grown naturally here, and then at the end of it, beautiful view of some marshland and all the different birds.
Oh, that sounds
every
nice.
time I walk down there, just about every other day, and every time I go, I see another bird friend, and it's quite fantastic. But we are refurbishing it a little bit, and I always call it like my Charlie Brown Christmas tree of eco walks, where it needs a little love. It's 20 years old, and we'll be launching the Friends of the Eco Walk pretty soon. So anyone interested in supporting that and coming out to see it, I hope they just stop on by.
Nice.
Check it out.
That's great. Well,
Nice.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was
is
wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
We learned a lot, and we learned a lot about you. And thank you for giving us this time today. Yeah, to join our podcast.
Thank you for being here. And like I said, I love your podcast. It's such a great thing. And I think you guys are just doing such great work, and you're putting interesting things out there into the universe and into the, I don't know if you say airwaves. Is that how podcasts,
Yeah.
they don't work on airwaves.
No,
they
yeah,
work
it's all
differently.
digital. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
but it's kind of airwaves.
You're
Yeah,
putting it out into the.
we're putting it out there.
Yeah.
Well, we've been enjoying it. So you can find all of this episode and past episodes on our website at www.12poundpodcast.com. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mom, thank you again,
Thank you, Robert.
and we'll see you soon.
Okie doke.